Hi guys. In our movement of operators in conditional expressions, we will be talking about special operators in this video. So over here in the last video, we talked about logical operators. Here we're going to be talking about special operators. So I need you to take your time and really watch this video because I'm going to be stating some things and I think it's somewhat going to be technical. So the first rule, the first operator we'll be talking about is called the is operator. And let's look at the rule. Let's look at the rule for it. Now the rule is simple, right? When it is true, when the values on the left and right are the same or are identical. They're identical. They have, so basically what we're going to be talking about here is identity. We're going to be talking about the same, and we're going to be using something called an ID, a function called ID or a method called ID to check this out. So let's jump into the thick of things. Now, let's test for identity. So normally if we're testing for identity or looking at this, we would normally be trying to use stuff like this to know if they're the same, right? Or probably use the inequality operator for that. But is very simple to use. So let's try out something so that we could test out what we're looking at. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a list, right? I'm going to create a list. I'm going to call this num underscore lists. So inside it, I'm going to have numbers inside. I'm going to call this 10, 8, and 5. Right, you see that? So I create this. So this is a list. There's a list. I'm going to create another list, and this list I'm going to call it num, and then I'm going to give it, I'll just call this 2. And inside, I'm going to still have the same thing here. See that? It looks the same, right? Then I create this 2. Now, if I say num list, and I use the equality operator, right? And I say, is the value on the left and on the right the same, or, are they equal to each other? And I say num list 2. Well, that rule will work because it's going to say, yeah, well, that's true. That's what it is. But there's something different. Are they identical? Right? So here they are equal, right? But the question is, are they identical? So we're about to find out. So now I simply say num list is num list 2, and I get a false. Now don't fret, here is where it becomes interesting. Now let's use the ID function to look at num list. And so here Python is going to assign like a memory serial number to it, for lack of better explanation. And so we have this. You see what this is? Look at this. And then we look at ID for num list 2. And look at that. You can see there are two different things. We're going to come to that. So you see where is different from the equality operator. I know I said we use this for simplicity here sometimes, but what I also want you to know is that identity is different from it looking like they are the same thing, right? So now the next thing I want to do is I want to now show something else. I'm going to create a string, or rather 2 strings, right? Now I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to just say num underscore string. And so we're going to have, just going to put 10 here. I'm going to put, say, what do I try to do? Okay, I'm going to put the name of this. I'm going to call them num lists. So you see, num underscore list. That's what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to come here and I'm going to say num string, and I'm going to say num string 2. And inside num string 2, I'm going to put this num list again. Right? Do you see what I've done here? 2 strings. Now I come again and I say num string equals to num string 2, and I get, oh well, that's true, right? Then I come again and I say num string is num string 2. What do I get? I get that is true. Right, so I know at this point you're asking, oh, okay, what's going on? Right, so let's think for a moment. I'm going to show you guys 2 things. Here, num list is, this is a list. This is a list. Right, come here, num string, this is a string. Now, Python deals with lists and strings in 2 different ways, because one, a list is mutable, so which means it can change, right? A string is immutable, so that means it's, it is, you cannot change it. It's an object that cannot change. Because of that, every time you create a list, Python will assign new memory to it. So a list will be assigned new memory. That's why you have a situation where the ID numbers are different. But because a list is immutable, or rather, yes, because a string is immutable, Python is free to reuse it. So here, Python reuses the object. Right, so this is really, really important that we talked about this is. So this is what is. So it's about identity and how Python, treats objects that are mutable and or immutable. So what you need to take from this lesson is that Python will always reference objects that, like strings, that are immutable, but when it's an object like a list that is mutable, it's going to create 2 different memory packs for them. So just in case you are doing this in future and you're having a bug, you need to understand what this is about. So I hope I was able to share this knowledge so that you can see what the is operator is about and what makes it pretty different in terms of the object's mutability and the object's immutability. Take your time and watch this video again. I think this is such an interesting idea and concept in Python programming. So go ahead, again, like, share, subscribe.